My name is Alara Vance. I'm 33 years old, and for most of my life, I existed in my family like background noise, always there, never really heard. If my life were a movie, my older sister would be the lead, everyone applauds. I'd be the one adjusting the lighting, so she looks perfect. And the strangest part? I didn't even realize how deep that pattern ran until the night everything finally broke. It started 3 days before Christmas. I was in my apartment in Seattle, sitting at my dining table surrounded by open files, a half-finished espresso going cold beside my laptop. Outside, the city was wrapped in that quiet winter rain, soft, steady, almost hypnotic. On my screen was a proposal I'd spent 4 months building. Not just a project, a turning point. If it landed, my firm wouldn't just grow, it would level up entirely. That's when my phone rang. I didn't need to look at the screen. I already knew. My father never called to ask how I was. He called when something needed to be done. "Ella," he said the second I picked up, his voice sharp, efficient, like he was already annoyed I hadn't solved his problem yet. "Your sister is hosting a Christmas dinner. Big one. Important people. Not hello. Not how are you. Just instructions." I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. "That sounds nice." "It will be," he said. "Once you get here and handle everything." There it was. Assigned. Not invited. "How many people?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer wouldn't matter. 14. Maybe 15. He said it casually, like he was asking me to pick up milk, not orchestrate a full-scale event overnight. In the background, I heard my mother's voice, calm and cutting like always. "Tell her not to overcomplicate things this time." Overcomplicate. Right. Because apparently cooking, cleaning, organizing, serving, and then disappearing before dessert, that was my specialty. I closed my eyes for a second, letting the silence stretch just enough to feel uncomfortable. Then I asked, "Why me?" A pause. Short. Irritated. "Because you're good at it," my father replied. "And your sister has more important things to focus on." Of course she did. She always did. My sister, Camille, was the version of success my parents could easily understand. Fashionable job in Manhattan, polished social circle, the kind of life that looked impressive in photos. Me? I built things that didn't photograph well. Systems. Strategies. Crisis models. Invisible work for people who only noticed results when everything went wrong. "I have work," I said quietly. My father exhaled, like I was being difficult on purpose. "Everyone has work, Alara. This is family." Family. That word had always sounded less like love and more like obligation. My mother's voice cut in again, sharper this time. "This is the one thing we can rely on you for. Don't start acting selfish." Selfish. I almost laughed. Because at that exact moment, sitting open on my laptop was an email thread from Rothwell and Pierce, one of the most powerful private equity firms on the East Coast. Their executive team had spent weeks reviewing my proposal. They had requested me, specifically for the final presentation. And the CEO? He was expected to make the decision 2 days after Christmas. A contract worth more than my parents probably thought I'd earn in 5 years. But to them, I was still just the daughter who knew how to set a table properly. I picked up my espresso, now cold, and took a sip anyway. Then I said calmly, "I understand." Not because I agreed, but because, for the first time, I had already decided I wasn't going to play my role anymore. After I ended the call, I didn't move right away. The rain outside had picked up, tapping harder against the windows, like something insisting on being heard. For years, I had trained myself to ignore that feeling, the quiet discomfort, the small voice asking why am I always the one bending? But that night, I didn't ignore it. I turned my laptop back toward me and reread the email from Rothwell and Pierce. "We'd like you to lead the final session personally. Not my team. Not a representative." Me. I exhaled slowly. It was strange how two worlds could exist at the same time. In one, I was the reliable one, the invisible daughter who handled everything no one else wanted to do. In the other, I was the founder of Vance Strategic Risk, a firm I built from scratch with nothing but a borrowed desk, sleepless nights, and a refusal to stay underestimated. 29 employees. Clients across 5 states. Executives who trusted me to prepare them for worst-case scenarios. But none of that existed in my parents' house. There, I was still the girl carrying grocery bags through the side door. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself fresh coffee. And as the steam rose from the cup, memories came with it. Thanksgiving, me in the kitchen, carving turkey while my father told guests how brilliant Camille was. Easter, me washing glasses while my mother showed off Camille's new promotion photos. Christmas mornings, me cleaning wrapping paper while everyone else posed for pictures. Every holiday had followed the same script, and I had followed it too. Not because I agreed with it, but because somewhere deep down I thought maybe one day they'd finally see me. But the truth? They never even tried. 3 years ago, I told them about landing a major client. My mother barely looked up from her phone. "That's nice," she said. "Camille just got invited to an exclusive networking brunch." 2 years ago, I tried to explain what I actually did. My father laughed. "So, companies pay you to worry for them? That's not a real business, Alara." Last year, I almost told them I bought my own condo. I even typed the message. Then Camille posted a rooftop photo from New York and my mother commented, "Our successful girl red heart." I deleted my message. Unpacked alone. That was the moment something inside me quietly shut off. Not anger. Not even sadness. Just acceptance. The kind that comes when you finally understand you're not unseen by accident. You're unseen by design. The next morning, my phone buzzed at 6:07 a.m. A message from my father. Not a greeting. A list. Vacuum the downstairs. Prepare appetizers by 5. Dinner ready by 7. Wear something simple. Don't argue with your mother. I stared at it for a long second. Then I flipped my phone face down. For the first time in years, I didn't feel pressure. I felt clarity. At 9 a.m., I joined my team's video call. "Final review," my operations director said. "Everything's locked." We walked through the entire presentation. Risk simulations, leadership breakdown scenarios, crisis response frameworks. Every detail mattered. Because unlike my family's expectations, this work had real consequences. At the end of the call, my assistant spoke up. "Alara." Rothwell's office confirmed again. "They want you leading everything in person." Of course they did. I glanced at my phone again. Missed calls. Texts. More instructions. I ignored all of them. At 10:30, my mother called. I let it ring. Then Camille. Then my father. Finally, I answered. "What time are you getting here?" he asked immediately. "I'm not," I said. Silence. Then a short laugh. "Don't start this." "I'm not coming," I repeated. "I have a business meeting in New York." My mother's voice snapped in from the background. "How convenient." "It's important," I said calmly. "So is family," my father replied, sharper now. "No," I said quietly. "What you mean is, I'm convenient." That's when everything shifted. The tone, the patience, the illusion. And for the first time, I didn't step back. The call turned ugly fast. "You're embarrassing us," my father snapped. My mother added, "You've always been jealous of your sister." That one almost made me laugh, not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. Then Camille grabbed the phone. "You have no idea who's coming tomorrow," she hissed. "If you ruin this for me, I swear." I cut her off. "I'm sending you options." Silence. "Catering services. Event staff. Cleaning crews." I continued. "Call them now and you'll be fine." My father's voice came back, colder this time. "We don't need strangers," he said. "We need you to do your job." My grip tightened slightly on the phone. "My job," I repeated. "Yes," he said. "For once, be useful." That was it. Not the years of dismissal. Not the constant comparisons. Not even the assumption that I'd drop everything for them. That sentence. Be useful. Like I was a tool. Like my value only existed when it made their lives easier. "I already am useful," I said quietly. "Just not to you anymore." And I hung up. For a moment, the room was completely silent. Then I opened the family group chat and sent 5 contacts, top-tier services that could save their dinner if they acted fast. Professional. Efficient. Solvable. My mother replied almost instantly. We shouldn't have to pay strangers when we have a daughter. Camille, this is disgusting. My father said nothing, which somehow felt worse. I muted the chat, packed my suitcase. Navy suit, black heels, laptop, backup drive. Everything I needed to step into the life I had actually built. The flight to New York was quiet. I didn't check my messages, didn't replay the argument, didn't second-guess myself, because deep down, I knew this wasn't rebellion. It was correction. That night, I checked into a hotel in Midtown. Soft lighting, clean lines, quiet luxury, the kind of place that used to make me feel like I didn't belong. Now, it felt exactly right. At 5:12 p.m., my phone lit up. Camille, where are the serving trays? 5:19 p.m., Mom says the towels aren't folded right. 5:33 p.m., Dad is getting angry. I didn't respond. I was rehearsing. By 6 p.m., the messages became frantic. No appetizers. No flowers. Table half set. Guests arriving soon. At 6:41 p.m., a voicemail from my father. You have 1 hour to stop acting like a child and get here. I didn't listen to the rest. At 7 p.m., the text shifted. They're here. The kitchen is empty. Mom says you're sick. Dad is pretending everything is fine. Then, Nathaniel is here. I paused. Not because I was surprised, because I understood exactly what was happening. The illusion was collapsing. By 7:40 p.m., no food, no plan, no control. At 8:15 p.m., emergency grocery trays arrived. Cheap, cold, obvious. At 8:47 p.m., Dad told him you're unreliable. At 8:50 p.m., Mom said you've always been difficult. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Even now, even in front of important guests, they couldn't stop themselves. They needed me to stay small even when I wasn't there. That's when the next message came. 8:58 p.m. Why is he staring at your picture? And just like that, everything changed. I sat up slowly. My heartbeat didn't spike. It steadied, because I already knew which picture she meant. The hallway wall. My mother's family display. A carefully curated collection of Camille's achievements, graduations, promotions, smiling photos in perfect lighting. I had exactly 3 frames there. One from high school, where my father's hand rested on Camille's shoulder during my ceremony. One Christmas photo where I was holding a tray. And one image my aunt had insisted my mother include. A photo from a leadership conference. Me on stage. Black suit. Microphone in hand. The words behind me. Strategic Crisis Leadership Summit. My mother never asked about it. Never cared. But someone else had seen that photo before. The next message came. He asked if you're my sister. Then, nothing. Silence. For 12 full minutes. Later, I learned exactly what happened. He stopped in the hallway, looked at the photo, then turned. That's your sister? He asked. Camille laughed nervously. Yeah, but she just does some freelance consulting. My father stepped in, confident as always. Ilara likes to exaggerate, he said. Nothing serious. My mother added lightly. She's more helpful in practical ways. Usually handles things like tonight. Then he asked a simple question. What exactly does she do? No one answered. Another question. Have you ever visited her office? Silence. Do you know why she's in New York this week? My father frowned. She claims she has a meeting. A pause. Then, I see. That was it. 2 words. But everything shifted. He didn't argue. Didn't raise his voice. He simply understood. And when people like him understand something important, they don't explain it. They act on it. He left shortly after. No dessert. No deal-making. No interest. At 9:39 p.m., Camille texted me. What did you do? I stared at the message. And for the first time in years, I smiled. Because the answer was simple. Nothing. I didn't expose them. Didn't interrupt. Didn't defend myself. I just stopped protecting their version of me. And without that support, it collapsed on its own. The next morning, My father left me a voicemail. I just stopped protecting their version of me, and without that support, it collapsed on its own. The next morning, my father left me a voicemail. You made us look like fools, he said, his voice tight with anger. You will explain this. I deleted it. Then I opened my presentation. The final slide read, Leading through crisis. I changed it. Accountability under pressure. It felt more accurate. Because that's what this was now. Not a family misunderstanding. A test. And the next day, they were about to see exactly who I really was. December 26th, 9 a.m. The conference room at Rothwell and Pierce was quiet, polished, intimidating in that effortless way power often is. Floor-to-ceiling windows, glass walls, a long table filled with people who didn't waste time on impressions. They evaluated results. I walked in 15 minutes early, set up my laptop, took a breath. Not nervous, not anxious, ready. At exactly 9 o'clock, the door opened, and he walked in. Nathaniel Price, followed by his executive team. He looked at me once, then smiled slightly. Ms. Vance, he said. Good to finally meet you. I nodded. Likewise. Then he added, I believe I was in your parents' home 2 nights ago. The room went still. Every eye shifted toward me. This was the moment. Excuse. Apology. Deflection. I chose none of them. Then you've already seen, I said calmly, what happens when people confuse control with leadership. Silence. Then, he smiled. A real one. And sat down. Let's begin. For the next hour, I walked them through everything. Crisis simulations. Leadership breakdowns. Decision-making under pressure. Not theory. Reality. Every question they asked, I answered. Clearly. Precisely. Without hesitation. Because this was my world. Near the end, Nathaniel leaned forward. 2 nights ago, he said, I watched a family blame someone who wasn't even present. The room stayed quiet. Today, he continued, I watched that same person lead a room full of executives better than most consultants I've hired. He paused. That contrast tells me everything. The CFO nodded. The legal advisor closed the folder. Nathaniel looked at me. We'd like to move forward. $2.4 million. 2-year contract. New York expansion support. Just like that. Signed. Earned. Real. Later that day, they posted the partnership online. Professional. Clean. Public. And just like that, the truth spread. Calls. Messages. Panic. My father. You ruined everything. My mother. Why is everyone calling me? Camille. You could have told us. I read all of them. Then replied with one sentence. You could have asked. That was the difference. They never asked. Never listened. Never cared enough to know. Weeks passed. Consequences followed. Lost deals. Damaged reputations. Silence in rooms that used to welcome them. And, for the first time, they felt what it was like to be unseen. 6 weeks later, my father asked to meet. Not to argue. To listen. So I set terms. Respect. Accountability. Truth. No more roles. No more pretending. And for once, they didn't fight it. Because reality had already done what I never needed to. It showed them exactly who I was. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. Revenge isn't always loud. It isn't always dramatic. Sometimes, it's quiet. It's choosing yourself when everyone expects you to disappear. It's stepping out of a role that was never yours to begin with, and letting reality expose everything you no longer hold together. I didn't win because they lost. I won because I finally stopped shrinking. So, if you've ever been the invisible one, the underestimated one, the one everyone only notices when they need something, remember this. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone refuses to see it. And one day, they won't need you to explain who you are. They'll see it. And by then, you won't need their validation anymore.